everyone. Today we are going to roast a duck. One, because duck is awesome. Love duck. Very, very full of flavour. Also, duck, fantastic for keto because duck, being a waterfowl, means that it's very fatty. Birds or fowl that live in the water are fattier than land birds because they need the fat to insulate them from the cold water. So anything that normally lives in the water, like a duck or a goose, super fatty, much more so than a turkey or a chicken. So those are two of the reasons why we love duck on keto, and you may never have had a duck, but I'm going to encourage you to go for duck instead of chicken. Now, sometimes people think that ducks are expensive. So actually, compared to your lamb, your beef, this duck was $3.49 a pound, which is actually down the cheaper end of the meat market. So don't be afraid of duck. Go look at the price. Don't assume that it's going to be expensive. Ducks are typically around the 6 to 8 pound in weight, and you should allow a pound of duck with bones in per person. So this duck at 6.5 pounds would be good for 6 people. That's how you figure out. But of course, on keto, and if you're carnivore, you would probably go to 2 pounds per person because you're going to want more meat. So the other reason we're doing duck is because some of our friends over at the Keto Man's Club, link below, if that's something that you're interested in joining, or they also have a podcast, a great podcast that you can listen to, also link below, were asking what to do with the duck. So here we are, we're going to roast our duck. We've got our duck, it comes in a bag. This one actually proudly proclaims that it has an orange sauce packet in it. Pretty sure we're not going to want the orange sauce packet because I'm pretty sure it's loaded with sugars. Yes. So the sauce is loaded with sugars. So we're going to discard that once we get in here. But in case some of you are very new to any kitchen and have never bought a duck that comes in a packet like this, we're going to do all the things. I'm going to show you the whole process. So we're just going to get rid of that. Now you'll notice that it is not the same shape as a chicken. It's quite a different shape, but it still has, and this paper is just to mop up the liquid, not very well. So the same as a chicken, you're going to open it up and you're going to delve around in its cavities. That's where you're going to find the orange sauce, which we're going to sling right in the bin. Then you're going to find other bits and pieces. In England we call them giblets. I'm not sure what you call them here. Giblets, and that's all the bits and pieces. In chickens and turkeys, they often come in a little bag instead of kind of loose and floating around like here. So that's your duck liver. That's your duck neck. Since they haven't put it in a little bag, I suggest you fish around. That's your duck heart. You're going to have to fish around here with your hand and make sure that all the loose bits are out. And I would also, of course there's 2 ends to a duck. So find the other end of the duck. It's possible, sometimes they put things up the other end of the duck. So of course that hole goes right the way through. Okay, so there's nothing more in there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my duck. I'm just filling up the cavity here. I'm going to give it a good rinse out. And then I'm going to bring my duck, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to, luckily ducks are small enough to do with one hand. I wouldn't recommend trying to do this with your turkey. Alright, now I am also we can make delicious things with all these bits, so I'm going to put those in a pan and I'll deal with those later. Let's just mop up all the blood. Alright, so now we have our duck. We've made sure that all the giblets are out. We've given it a good rinse out, and I'm just gonna pat it dry. Oops, that's still leaking lots of water. Doesn't really matter. All right, so there is our duck. Now, what we're gonna do, which is what I do with all poultry when I roast it, it just so happens that I have limes on hand because it was cheaper to buy a big old bag full of limes from Costco than it was to buy a couple from the regular store. So a big old bag came home, so I happen to have limes on hand. I am going to stuff the cavity with some limes. I do a similar thing at the holidays with turkey, but I typically use oranges. So I'm just quartering the limes here. And then I'm going to randomly shove all of those limes inside. I've probably got room for one more. You can use whatever citrus you like. Orange goes particularly well with duck, but limes and lemons also go well. So just going to pack that full of limes there, and I'm going to make sure that the other end, that flap of skin, is completely underneath. All right, now next comes the fun part. If you've read other recipes for duck online, you will see that their main aim of cooking a duck is to get rid of all the fat. Unlike with chickens and turkeys, the aim is to keep it moist and keep the fat in. Recipes all over the internet will tell you to get rid of the fat on the duck. They'll tell you to pierce the skin so that as the fat melts and renders, it all runs out. Of course, I'm like, no, the duck fat's the best part. And particularly for us on keto, we want to keep that fat and we want to keep all that flavor in the duck. So I don't do any of that. I actually do duck the same way as I do my turkey and chicken. So I've got my aluminium foil, which I can't get out of the box apparently. And I'm probably going to be okay with just one piece, although it might be a bit tight. So I've got my foil, and I'm going to sit my duck. You want to tuck that back flap in, you want to tuck the wings in, flap over that, and if you can, I'm not sure if that will stay, I may have to encourage that. There we go. I'm going to wrap that up like a little parcel, like that. Now, this is the fun part. And you actually don't, because this is a duck and it is fatty, you don't need to go crazy with the avocado oil. But this will stop your duck skin from sticking to the foil. At the end, when we open the foil to crisp up the skin a bit, the avocado oil will help make sure that it doesn't stick. So there's that. I highly recommend you wash your hands at this point, because doing the foil with super slippery fingers can be quite entertaining. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, you can see, here, I'm just going to fold this down like this, and then I'm going to fold the ends in to seal that. And the point of this is to keep the steam and the moisture in with the turkey. So you're kind of making a little duck. You're kind of making a little sauna for your duck. So it doesn't have to be tight, and in fact if it's not tight, that'll help the skin not stick to the foil. But just crease this up, fold the ends up, just to keep the steam inside your little duck sauna. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in this rack. If you don't have one of these racks, it doesn't matter. This just makes it easier, because when you have a hot duck, or even a cold duck, but when you have a hot duck, it's much, much easier to lift it in and out of your tray with these handles. And there's various other types of racks that you can get, which will just facilitate you not having to try and wrestle with a piping hot foil wrapped duck. So I put mine in there like that, and then you can, so it'll fit in the oven, just fold the handles over the top. And now our duck is ready for the oven. The oven has been preheated to 450 degrees F. The other thing I'm going to do is I have a pan which is half filled with water. Now, it doesn't matter what shape or size of pan, whatever pan you've got is absolutely fine. I have one rack of the oven on the very lowest level. I'm going to put this tray of water on there, and then I'm going to put my duck on the middle rack. For a 6-pound duck, we're going to be 2 hours. So I'm going to set the timer for an hour and a half. And at that point, I'm going to show you what I do to finish it off. So we'll see you back here in an hour and a half, and we'll see how our duck is doing. Hi everyone, an hour and a half later, I've just removed the duck from the oven. You'll notice that I didn't forget my mitts, super important. This is incredibly hot. That parchment is there just to save my mat. Keep your mitts on when you do this. And I am gonna be easier, but you need to be super careful if you do this. If you're not confident, then I would keep your mitts on when you do this, but you want to just carefully unroll the end. Now, it's super hot inside the duck sauna, so when you get the end open, there's going to be a rush of steam coming out. So just, you see that? So just be careful. It's going to be very hot and it will burn you. So it's not just the heat of the tin and the foil that you have to be careful. You have to be careful of the steam that's going to rush out when you open your little sauna. So just be super careful when you do this. Of course, foil is metal, so it's going to be hot. And in here now, my foil, I can't show, has stuck just a little bit. So I'm going to get a knife and I'm just going to carefully pull that skin away from the foil so that it doesn't rip. And then I'm going to open the foil up. It's cooled down now. I'm going to fold that round the end like that. So there is your duck. Where's my cloth? I don't want to put my fatty fingers into those nice gloves, so it's my hands off here. I've got the gloves back on, and there you can see your duck. You can see all the juices that are still in there, and with that like that, I am now, I'm only putting these down so that I can get it back in the oven. It doesn't matter at this point if you tear the foil. So there we go. And this size of duck is now 3/4 cooked. It's going to go back in the oven for another 30 minutes just to crisp up that skin and make it golden brown, and then your turkey will be ready. So come back in half an hour. And did I call it a turkey? Duck. This is a duck. Have you ever seen a turkey that small? I'll be back in half an hour to show you the duck when I take it out the oven. Hi everyone, and another 30 minutes in our oven later, and we have a beautifully golden roasted duck. If you like a crispier skin, feel free to leave it in for a little bit longer. If you like it a bit less crispy, take it out a few minutes earlier. You can also make sure that you use all of those lovely pan juices to make yourself some duck gravy. If you're not sure how to do that, if you go to carriebrown.com, I'll put the link below. There is a link to turkey gravy, and you basically use the same method, except you're going to use the drippings from the turkey. This is not a turkey, the duck instead of the turkey. So yeah, I'll put the link below. Go look at the turkey gravy recipe, substitute with your lovely duck drippings, and have yourself a very fine roast duck with duck gravy. Enjoy!